Hi there, everyone. It is currently the 28th of August, 2012. Rob here with today's Western Pacific weather update. We are talking about Typhoon Bolaven and Typhoon Tembin still. Let's start off with Bolaven, though, moving away from Japan. Brought some heavy rains yesterday, though. Actually, upwards of 468 millimeters was recorded in the Kagoshima prefecture. Some wind gusts up near 150 knots was also, or 150 kilometers per hour, was also recorded here as well across Kagoshima, even down towards Okinawa. Now starting to pick up the pieces here, though. Basically, power outages and lots of downed trees were the worst reported. Some structural damage, but nothing too severe, at least not widespread devastation that was kind of expected prior to the landfall of this storm, as it was expected to be one of the worst storms within the last 60 years here across Okinawa. Wasn't to that severity, yet still some very intense winds, and now those intense winds are moving off there towards the Koreas here. Expect to make a landfall right around Seoul. Already starting to see that rainfall move in here as the storm continues to approach Korea. As far as the storm system itself, though, it is starting to go towards a more extratropical state, and with that said, that basically means it's going from a warm core low towards a cold core low. And here on this water vapor imagery, you can kind of see a very weak cold front trying to form up here. Also a warm front, vice that very tight and organized tropical system we saw just 2 days ago with that defined eye wall. Still seeing a rather defined center of circulation here and that characteristics of a tropical system, but as it continues to run towards the north, it is hitting the vertical wind shear. Actually, if we pull up the shear analysis here, you can see some upwards of 60 to 70 knots over northeastern China. That's mainly due to the jet stream aloft up here. Once that starts to hit it, really going to start to knock off that center of circulation from being more vertical to kind of a diagonal setup, which really sets up those westerly type lows. But with that said, that is not going to take away from the heavy precipitation here. You can see some of these totals upwards of 50 to 60 millimeters in just an hour's period here. Down towards the south around Busan, this actually might be fog here. You have that warm air surging in from the south over some relatively cooler waters, and with that said, you have fog kind of set up here, and that's what kind of this radar is indicating here. Yet you're still going to be seeing some heavy rainfall as well as the storm system does start to blow overhead. Flooding and landslides also going to be high at risk. About 2.5 centimeters of rain could be falling here. Even some isolated areas upwards of 300 millimeters in some of these higher terrains across North Korea. Flooding will continue to be very high at risk, but where the storm's going to be making landfall is right around Seoul sometime this afternoon, the evening. You're currently looking at KMA's depiction on the forecast analysis here, just showing this because the storm is affecting Korea. But really, once again, though, as the storm becomes extratropical, that center of circulation is not where the most defined winds are going to be. It's going to start to spread out away from the center of circulation, also with the heavy precipitation. So after landfall, expect the storm to continue to start to weaken, actually, with that heavy precipitation just off towards the north, and then behind it some cooler air will start to dive in, kind of like the passage of a cold front as it gets this far towards the north. So once again, though, expect the worst of it into this afternoon, the evening hours, and through the overnight hours, a rapid intensification. And what I'm talking about here is that dry and cooler air spilling in from eastern China here. That's going to be bringing some improving conditions, not only here, but also down towards Okinawa. Maybe some windy conditions as well. Some isolated storms can continue to pop up here for you, but nothing too severe. But let's talk about Taiwan and Tembin here. It has been downgraded to a tropical storm by the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, yet the Japan Meteorological Agency still calling this a typhoon, just holding it on to about 65 knots at this time, as it continues to bring a drencher here towards much of Taiwan, this already rain-soaked region here. You see some areas here upwards of 50 to 55 millimeters in an hour's span. Then you have that rainfall really hitting these mountainous terrain. That's what I keep on talking about in the last several video updates, is that moisture pushing onshore, running up these mountains and kind of getting squeezed out like a sponge. Once again, flooding really is high at risk here, especially in a lot of these steeper elevations, and especially down towards the south as the storm just clips the southern coast, and now it's going to push off there towards the north, likely just towards the west of Okinawa, much of the southern Japanese islands, Senkaku Islands as well. Probably going to get some heavy rain out of this, but not going to be the severity of our last tropical system, which was Bolaven here. But seeing this move off there towards the north, moving off towards Shanghai, you're probably going to get some heavy rainfall out of this. Actually, a possibility on the 28th going to the 29th, Shanghai might see some localized urban flooding, as upwards about 2 to 3 centimeters of rainfall may be coming out of this. But good news, it is likely going to weaken. So by the time it does work its way off towards that direction, will very well be a tropical storm, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency, as it continues to become disorganized. Vertical wind shear increasing, and once again, Bolaven still sucking in the energy from the storm system all the way off there towards. And here's a look at the high-resolution COAMPS model based on Finmock's platform here, and you can see that Bolaven making a landfall just north of Seoul here within the next 12 hours, and then off towards the next 24 hours. Tembin moving away from Taiwan off there towards the north, and this is what I'm talking about. See this line right in here? This is really Bolaven all the way off here towards the north, with that cold front starting to form up right there, basically kind of a strong feeder band, but it's grabbing the energy from Tembin here, thus weakening it as it continues to track off there towards the north. We see into the latter part of the model run, and we'll continue to work northerly here, just clipping the east coast of China before eventually moving on towards Korea as well. So likely going to see another shot of rainfall here by the latter part of this week as the storm continues to track in that direction. And really, one thing I do want to mention, though, is going to stay away from much of Japan here, especially around the Tokyo and much of eastern Japan. High pressure is dominating aloft here, absolutely suppressing much of the weather across much of this area. So really nothing too severe in the forecast. Sunny skies really is going to be expected. Some serious outflow might be coming here. Some rain showers possibly across western Japan throughout the remainder of your Tuesday going into Wednesday. But eastern Japan, you should remain dry for the most part here. Some localized afternoon pop-up thunderstorms might happen, but nothing too significant and severe. And also down towards the Philippines, monsoonal flow really still hitting across this area. Some localized flooding in Manila, still recovering from the floods a couple weeks ago, continuing to pump up there. And then, on the last note, we're still watching the rest of the tropics. Remember, this is the Western Pacific. Things could still flare up. Some areas out here around Guam and much of the Marianas that do bear some watching, but nothing too significant and severe at this time as far as the rest of the Western Pacific. But that is all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them in the comment box below. And as always, stay safe out there. Have a great day. Bye.